You haven't got any lips, he said. No proper vocal cords either, agreed the tortoise. I'm doing it straight into your head. Do you understand? Gosh. You do understand, don't you? No. The tortoise rolled its eye. I should have known. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't have time to waste on gardeners. Go and fetch the top bloke right now. Top man, said Brother. He put his hand to his mouth. You don't mind Brother Numrod? Who's he? Said the tortoise. The master of the novices. Oh, me, said the tortoise. No, it went on, in a sing-song imitation of Brother's voice. I don't mean the master of the novices. I mean the high priest or whatever he calls himself. I suppose there is one. Brother nodded blankly. High priest, right? Said the tortoise. High priest. High priest. Brother nodded again. He knew there was a high priest, just that while he could just about encompass the hierarchical structure between his own good self and Brother Numrod, he was unable to give serious consideration to any kind of link between Brother the Novice and the Cenobiarch. The Cenobiarch. He was theoretically aware that there was one, that there was a huge canonical structure with the high priest at the top and Brother very firmly at the bottom. But he viewed it in the same way as an amoeba might view the chain of evolution all the way between itself and, for example, a chartered accountant. It was missing links all the way to the top. I can't go asking the Brother hesitated. Even the thought of talking to the Cenobiarch frightened him into silence. I can't ask anyone to ask the high Cenobiarch to come and talk to a tortoise. Turn into a mudleech and wither in the fires of retribution, screamed the tortoise. There's no need to curse, said Brother. The tortoise bounced up and down furiously. That wasn't a curse, that was an order. I am the great god Om. Brother blinked. Then he said, No, you're not. I've seen the great god Om. He waved a hand, making the shape of the holy horns conscientiously, and he isn't tortoise shaped. He comes as an eagle, or a lion, or a mighty bull. There's a statue of the great temple. It's 7 cubits high, and he's got a bronze knight and everything. He's trampling infidels. You can't trample infidels when you're a tortoise. I mean, what you could do is give him a meaningful look. His got horns of real gold. It's where I used to live. Where I used to live, there was a statue 1 cubit high in the next village, and that was a bull too. So that's how I know you're not the great god of holy horns Om. The tortoise subsided. How many tortoises have you met? It said sarcastically. I don't know, said Brother. What do you mean you don't know? Well, they might all talk, said Brother conscientiously, demonstrating the very personal kind of logic that got him extra melons. They just might not say anything when I'm there. I am the great god Om, said the tortoise in a menacing and unavoidably low voice. And before very long, you are going to be a very unfortunate priest. Go and get him. Novice, said brother. What? Novice, not priest. They won't let me. Get him! But I don't think the Senno by Archie's ever comes into your vegetable garden, said brother. I don't think he even knows what a melon is. I'm not bothered about that, said the tortoise. Fetch him now, there will be a shaking of the earth, the moon will be as blood, agues and boils will afflict mankind, and diverse ills will befall. I really mean it, it added. I'll see what I can do, said brother, backing away. And I'm being very reasonable. In the circumstances, the tortoise shouted after him. You don't sing badly, though, mind you, it added as an afterthought. I've heard worse, as brother's grubby robe disappeared through the gateway. Touch me in mind of that time there was the affliction of plague in Pseudopolis, it said quietly as the footsteps faded. What a wailing and gnashing of teeth was there, all right, it sighed. Great days, great days. Many feel they are called to the priesthood, but what they really hear is an inner voice saying, it's indoor work with no heavy lifting. Do you want to be a ploughman like your father? Whereas brother didn't just believe, he really believed. That sort of thing is usually embarrassing when it happens in a God-fearing family. But all brother had was his grandmother, and she believed too. She believed like iron believes in metal. She was the kind of woman every priest dreads in a congregation, the one who knows all the chants, all the sermons. In the Omnian church, women were allowed in the temple only on sufferance and had to keep absolutely silent, and well covered up in their own section behind the pulpit in case the sight of one half of the human race caused the male members of the congregation to hear voices not unakin to those played by to those that played Brother Nimrod through every sleeping and waking hour. The problem was that brother's grandmother had the kind of personality that can project itself through a lead sheet and a bitter piety with the strength of a diamond-bit archer. If she had been born a man, Omnism would have found its eighth prophet earlier than expected. As it was, she organized temple cleaning, statue polishing, stoning for suspected adulteresses, rotas with a terrible efficiency. So brother grew up in the sure and certain knowledge of the great god Om. Brother grew up knowing that Om's eyes were on him all the time, especially in places like the Privy, and the demons assailed him on all sides, were only kept at bay by the strength of his belief and the weight of grandmother's cane, which was kept behind the door on those rare occasions when it was not being used. He could recite every verse in all 7 books of the prophets and every single precept. He knew all the laws and the songs, especially the laws. The Omnians were a God-fearing people. They had a great deal to fear. Varbis's room was in the upper citadel, which was unusual for a mere deacon. He hadn't asked for it. He seldom had to ask for anything. Destiny had a way of marking her own. He also got visited by some of the most powerful men in the church's hierarchy. Not, of course, the 6 archpriests or the Cenobiarch himself. They weren't that important. Now, they were merely at the top. The people who really run organizations are usually found several levels down, where it's still possible to get things done. People liked to be friends with Vorbis, mainly because of the aforesaid mental field, which suggested to them in the subtlest of ways that they didn't want to be his enemy. 2 of them are sitting down with him now. They were General Iamfrit, who, whatever the official records might suggest, was the man that ran most of the Divine Legion, and Bishop Drunna, secretary to the Congress of Iams. People might not think that that was much of a position of power, but then they'd never been minute secretary to a meeting of slightly deaf old men.